Hey there, we're just taking a look at the newest design out called Up Close. This one is pretty straightforward. If you're familiar with any of my designs, you're going to be familiar with the way that this is laid out. So not really a whole lot in the way of gotchas or anything in this, but we'll take a quick look here just to see what we've got going on. So this design features a lot of up-close textures to the sport balls and elements and things like that. So let's just scroll down to the bottom here. We'll start at the bottom, work our way up. So we'll see we've got some groups in here. So in these groups, we've got a top and bottom textures, and those are looking at these strips running across the back here. So if we expand these, we can see there's some options in here. So we've got like this gym floor texture. We've got some layers if we want to go with a little bit of a brighter look or a little bit more of a darker look, which I really like that look of that. There's some turf in here. There's some dirt. And then there's just like a general texture in here that just kind of looks cool for any other sports that the other textures may or may not work with. So there's some options in there. We can also colorize those. So let's say we want to turn the texture on. We could turn on this colorize option here, and we could move that color around and match it up to whatever we need. So those are some options that exist within those two layers there. Here's the jersey number. So simple text element, we can just click in. In this folder here, we'll see this is our sport options. So this is where the different backgrounds exist. So let's scroll down here just a second. So you'll see we've got a basketball option. We've got one for soccer. We have two for volleyball. So this is the ball kind of turned one direction where you're seeing the texture this way, and one with the ball turned this direction. So you get this volleyball type texture here. We have a baseball in here. And then what we've done is just add a color option here to turn this into softball. Okay, so we're just using the same graphic for both of those, and the softball color helps sell that. The golf option, one for football. Here we have just a basic one that can work for, just anything that you would want to drop in that maybe doesn't match one of the other themes. And then we have a couple, call these mat lines, so kind of like based off the idea of a wrestling mat and how they have the lines in them. So we have one option here. Mat lines 1, mat lines 2, a little bit of a different kind of setup for that. So there's the options. Now you can also colorize these by turning this box on. Again, hue saturation adjustment layer, so it's going to work the same way as all the other color change options in here. So you can just move those sliders around to match up the colors that you need. So we can disable and reset some of this stuff. So again, just simple layers to turn on and off here. Within this box, you're also going to see some smoke options. So here's a bottom smoke and a top smoke if you just want to add a little bit of that element into that, or you could turn that off just with a couple clicks of a button there. Again, attached to those are color change options. So if you would like to change the color of that smoke, that can be done so also with the hue saturation adjustments here. Okay, so we'll turn that off. Let's minimize this group. Then you see a couple text layers here. So the top text and the bottom text. The way this is laid out, you can see I just have it repeating in here. Just typed out the way I want it to repeat to fit across. If you look, you'll see the text in between is a little bit different. Now, just to show what's going on here, this is the same font. So if we edit this text, what you're going to see, like if we pick this skinny text right here, it is this Gilroy font, and it's just set to light. The only difference is when I get to the next part of the text, it's still Gilroy, but we've just changed it from the light version to the extra bold. And again, you'll find those links to download the fonts on the product page. So let's cancel those. So those are our text options. This is the folder where you would drop our subject in, and we'll take a look at that in just a second. And then we've got our name, customizable name. Again, just text fields, nice and simple. We've got some color grading layers all the way at the top here. Again, you can expand that group. You could turn those on and off, adjust opacities however needed. In the color grading layers, there is one in here, a dewarming. So this is just knocking a little bit of warmth off. I find that a lot of users tend to bring their images in a little bit warm, and so sometimes the color grade can kind of overwarm things. So I've built into this one a little dewarming option right here. Again, that could be turned on or off. You could bring opacity up if you need it a little bit more, but that's what's happening with that one. And then the facial highlight layers here. Again, this is the same. I've used this in a ton of templates. And just to demonstrate what's happening with those facial highlights, layers. Let's turn a subject on here. So this just dropping a subject in, he's turned on. What these layers are for, so you'll see I've got one for lighter skin and one for darker skin, so if you just hover over the name, you can read that full description there. And so it tells you paint on mask with white as needed. So that means if we drop our subject in and we want to kind of boost those highlights in the face just to make them stand out a little bit more, I'm just going to pick the mask. I'm going to do the one for the darker skin tones here. And I'm going to grab a white brush, and I'll just leave a low flow so we can kind of paint it in. And you can see as we paint this in, it's just going to bring out those facial highlights. Now you could use it for highlights on any of the skin that you wanted to. I like to just do it on the face so we draw that attention back up to the face. And so if we turn this on and off, you can see that's just giving that bump of those highlights there. So there's one for lighter skin, one for darker skin, and that's what's happening with that. So you'll also find this layout in multiple formats. So verticals, horizontals, button layout. Should be good to go. Like I said, if you used any templates from me before, you're going to find this one is very much in line with what you've worked with and shouldn't have any issues. But hope you get a ton of use out of it and enjoy.